This is Stephen Cassius for Sheffield TV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella. We're in Sheffield here for the Unbreakable press conference. Kell Brook versus Jojo Dan, March 28th. With me I've got trainer Dominic Ingle. How are you, Dominic?
Very good, thank you, Coogan.
Yep. In the press conference, you were quite vocal about the situation over the last year. It was a massive high for Kell Brook in August, and then it come crashing back down. And obviously, your main worry when you first heard this was whether he was alive or not.
Yeah, it's not. You can't really explain the feeling that you get when you spent 16, 17 weeks training somebody for a world title fight. You put everything on the back burner, your family, everybody around that team, they're all putting 100% into Kell Brook to make sure that when he goes into the Lion's Den, to Sean Porter's backyard, that he comes out as a champion and fulfills what he's been telling everybody for years, that he's going to be, the world champion. You can't afford to come out with egg on your face. The work was put into Kell Brook. He did the work. Everybody around him did the work. Eddie did the work. And on the night, it all paid off. And then 3 weeks later, he gets stabbed. And the first thing that goes through your mind is he alive? Is he ever going to box again? What's going through his mind? Because we never got the full details for a couple of days. And you don't even have time to enjoy the success of him winning the world title fight. It's almost like it's been snatched from under you, and all the hard work and time you've put in is gone. And it's a massive downer, and it was a big downer for us, all the kids in the gym who trained around him. But it must have been 10 times worse for Kell Brook. And to be able to drag yourself back from that place where he's been, on death's door, lying in the street, bleeding to death, and thinking this is it. It takes some doing, and full credit to him. Not only has he done that, he's pulled himself back to fitness, and in less than 10 weeks' time, he's going to be defending his world title fight in Sheffield so easily he could never have boxed again.
Moving forward now, obviously, he has made this recovery and he will defend his IBF world title in Sheffield. Is it important that it was in Sheffield, considering what had happened? And obviously, the people of Sheffield, his fans that have been coming to support him all the way through his career, deserve this as well, Dominic.
Yeah, he's boxed at the arena 2 or 3 times, and he's always promised, the Sheffield people, he was going to be world champion and he was going to defend his title in Sheffield. I think that is important because, fighting in front of your own crowd, there's nothing like it. It gives you that extra 10 or 15% lift because, if you get beaten in Sheffield people, where sport's concerned, are very unforgiving. If you say you're gonna be the champion, you're gonna win, you've got to be able to prove what you can do. And Nazim Ahmed used to come to Sheffield and fight in Sheffield, and he always put on a show. He always won. Clinton Woods did the same. But if you go shouting your mouth off around Sheffield and you roll up and you don't perform, then you're gonna get people are gonna turn around and say, well, you're all talk and no action. So with Kell Brook coming to Sheffield, I think people, even non-boxing fans, are going to turn out because we've got a legitimate, world champion. He's a personality, he's a celebrity, so to speak, and people want to come out and see what it's all about. So I think it's even going to attract fans probably who would never come to watch boxing. It's an event now. Kell Brook's an event. It's not a boxing match. It's an event. So it's good that it's turned out in Sheffield. Maybe if you'd have got the Floyd Mayweather fight in America, that's the only thing what could have probably topped it. But fighting in your hometown, there's nothing like it.
A lot of names were mentioned as potential opponents for March 28th, but you're more than satisfied to get this mandatory out the way.
Eddie came and said to me, even a few weeks after, Keller being injured, even before we knew he was going to make a recovery. Thinking ahead, Dominic, what if we can get Amir Khan in the summer? Would you go straight into that fight? I went, yeah, if all being well, Kell recovers. There's no point having warm-up fights. He boxed Sean Porter in his own backyard. He was a world champion. He beat 2 good names. He went straight into that fight when people said he'd never really boxed anybody anyway. So jumping up to a fight like Amir Khan wasn't going to be a problem. If that was the fight, even if he'd have said to me Floyd Mayweather, as if Kell can move around the ring and he's training like he can train and perform like he does, take those fights. So if we've got to get the mandatory out of the way, we get the mandatory out of the way. It wouldn't matter what fight it was next, because at this point where Kell Brook is, he's a world champion. He has to defend against anybody who steps in front of him. So get the mandatory out of the way and free up the big fights for the summer.
How much have you seen of Jojo Dan?
Yeah, I've watched him a few times. There was obviously when Kell was coming through, he could have been a possible opponent. Then there was a few Canadian guys who I looked at, obviously Kevin Bezier and Antoine Dakiere. So I looked at those fights. I've been watching for a while. He's a southpaw. He's tough. He's a tough Romanian based in Canada, a come forward fighter. And you can't overlook these type of kids. You can't underestimate them. You've got to be 100% when you get in that ring. He's a fit kid. He can do 12 rounds. He can climb off the floor and do 12 rounds. So if Kell thinks he's going to be for an easy night, well, he's going to be mistaken, and we're not, we're training for a hard fight.
Obviously, Eddie Hearn mentioned the other two champions in the weight are Pacquiao and Mayweather. What happens with them is anyone's guess, but this is the type of fight, or these are the type of fights, I should say, that Kell Brook is in now, isn't he? He's champion at IBF, so why not? Why can't these fights happen later on in the year? Why not?
Well, the only reason they can't happen is if those other two guys don't want them. But I'm sure Eddie somewhere down the line, we went to Mayweather's gym in the summer, and Kell was sat about 2 rows back. Floyd came and did some sparring, and after about a round, he got one of his guys to go over to Kell and said, come and sit at the front row and watch me. And we'd seen 2 or 3 rounds, and Kell said, I'm all right where I am. And after 2 or 3 rounds, 4 rounds, I think Kell seen have got up and walked out. And Floyd Mayweather definitely knows who Kell Brook is. Even his dad was talking about Kell's fight afterwards. So, after Kell beat Porter. So he's obviously in the frame somewhere down the line. He's a legitimate world champion, and it's just down to Eddie whether he can make that fight. If Ricky Hatton can fight Floyd Mayweather and he can fight Manny Pacquiao, why not Kell Brook?
Absolutely. Dominic Ingle, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and best of luck in the rest of the camp leading up to 28th, and get past this, and who knows what will happen in the summer.
Knows?
Thank you very much.
All right.